Ryan Ries Show from Southern California. This is The Ryan Ries Show. Post your questions using @Ryan Ries on his Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Are you ready?
All right, it's going down tonight, this Saturday night. Man, I have a crazy, no, he's not a crazy guest. It's a guest with a crazy story. One of my friends sent me a video clip recently of an I Am Second film, and you guys all know I Am Second. It's an amazing ministry that does amazing films. And I saw this story, and I literally was blowing my mind because I felt like I was, at one aspect, watching a lot of the stuff from my old life, and I was like, wow, there's other guys. I knew there was other pirates out there, but I don't think I've met any saved ones, and this guy has a radical story. He's Jevon Barnes, aka Dirty White of the band Noble Poets, and we're gonna get into his music. We're gonna get into what he's doing for tours and just how he's doing ministry now. But I want to welcome Jevon in the studio today. Dude, welcome to the show.
Man, thanks for having me.
Oh, sorry, scoot up a little bit.
Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you here,
Yeah.
and we were at the premiere together.
Yeah,
we did a premiere here in Diamond Bar, and everyone's been telling me to meet up with you and to get you to come out and perform here.
Yeah,
and I think because last night was it was like a rock thing.
Yeah,
but you got your own flavor.
Yeah.
And it has to be like its own thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you need to be like headlining. And I just watched one of your videos this morning.
Yeah.
As I was eating some pho down the street, waiting for you guys to pick me up. And it was Zans.
Yep.
And when I was watching that film or that music video, I first was just watching it and I'm like, wow. Like all the drugs on the table and the girl and the coke and you just showed it the way it was, like literally. And I was like, dang, like I was getting all these flashbacks to my life.
Right.
All these emotions.
Yeah.
It was pretty radical.
Yeah.
And then it started showing with your daughter.
Yeah.
And dude, I started crying.
Yeah.
I'm getting choked up right now, but
Yeah.
I was crying. And it was just weird. It was this weird thing because I was seeing my old life and what I was going through, but then I had this like taste of like my new life with my daughters, and I couldn't imagine that whole setup.
Yeah. Yeah. I met you, getting to meet your children yesterday. I actually had a conversation with Zach, and I said, actually it was with Jessie, Zach's wife, and I said, it's interesting how guys like Ryan and I that lived the life that we lived, now God's given us daughters, and we actually get a little bit of a taste of, how we were acting. And I'm not saying that's a revenge from the Lord, but what I am saying is we get to see that empathy and that compassion. I was running around like a crazy person. I didn't have any respect, not for my daughter, I didn't have respect for women in general.
Exactly.
I know I'm raising them. It's a lot different. I have a 9-year-old little girl, and she's the one who played Zans in Zans. She played my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter is now 23, and she's getting her doctorate. But
awesome.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. She wrote the screenplay, so she gave us the rough draft. And she's very, very intelligent, but she called it the Intergenerational Trauma Project. That was the name of what she actually called the screenplay. So she wrote out Zans through her eyes of what she saw when she was a child. So, it
is spot on.
Pounds all over the place, money all over the place, women coming in and out, massive amounts of drug use, continually. It just never stopped.
Well, I want to get into everything. I want to get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Because your story is radical. Let's start first of all, where'd you even grow up?
I grew up in Fresno, California.
Okay. All right. So how was that actually even growing up during that time? What year was that when you were like in high school?
I graduated in 95.
95?
Well, actually, I didn't graduate high school.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
Told you we have a lot in
So,
common.
yeah, so I started out,
Wait, you didn't get the GED?
No, I ended up getting my diploma in my late 20s.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
More than me.
I did get it. But, I was born in a really poor area of Fresno.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, one of the top 2 poorest areas in Fresno.
Got it.
So my dad was a drug addict, alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
There were, PCP junkies, heroin heads. I saw it all. I wasn't really allowed to go outside and play because there was a road, like a bike path in the middle of our street, and people would be foaming at the mouth, blowing out on meth, heroin. So I didn't really understand what was going on. I just knew that it wasn't safe. I was almost kidnapped twice out in front of my own house, growing up. So not only did I have trauma inside my house, I couldn't really be a kid outside of my house, and we were really, really poor.
Right.
That's what the video never fit in. Our first video drop was about what I went through as a really young kid. So, you tap into beatings constantly.
I saw some beatings in there with the father and all that. Mm-hmm. So that also was part of it growing up.
That's where it started. Was that I didn't really have a name when I was a kid. My name was Nimrod. So he just called, and that meant moron. Mm-hmm. I wasn't allowed to cry. If I cried, I had this 300-pound guy an inch away from my face, calling me things that a little kid should never hear.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it got really bad when he started taking coat hangers. Back then, we didn't get our steel from overseas. Mm-hmm. We actually got our steel here in America. Mm-hmm. So the coat hangers were a lot thicker when I was little. And I remember how thick they were because I would pick it up off the ground after he'd straighten it out, and he would whip me with it and lash me with it. Mm-hmm. So I'd have welts, from the bottom of my ankle all the way up to the, high part of the shoulders.
Right.
Because the air hits I remember the air hitting the hanger, and I couldn't plan on where the whipping was going to be because when the air moves it.
Right,
And so as a kid, I'm trying to plan out my own protection from trauma.
Right.
Right. So we didn't have hot water sometimes. We didn't have power sometimes. Cockroaches running all over the floor. It was just, it was like a war zone.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
So terrified and afraid is really what my childhood was.
So growing up in that environment, I mean, that I've heard about Fresno, like some crazy stuff that it's like that there. When you were growing up, so what point was it when you decided that you were like, I got to get out of this scenario, or I got to make money, and I'm just done with this life?
Yep.
I mean, you're a prisoner, and it's like you just got to escape, basically.
Yeah, after my brother's getting beaten, my mom getting beaten, I hit 15.
True, the whole family.
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
Being traumatized, just crazy.
Was your mom sober?
Oh, yeah, the whole time.
So she was sober, but your dad was...
My mom fasted for my dad for 20 years for him to be saved.
Oh, dang.
For 20 years, she fasted. Didn't eat meat for 20 years. This is actually the first time that I've been able to talk to somebody on a podcast about this.
Right.
She fasted, prayed every single day for 20 years. And so at 15, I got a backpack, had a couple $100 to my name, and hit the streets. Went out the window, never went back.
Right.
I'm sleeping on the ground, and that's what Humpty Dumpty, the second video, is about. Mm-hmm. I'm sleeping on the ground, and I learned the drug game. I learned the drug game actually by selling candy at school. And somebody from Fresno who was in a little area called Pinedale was like, hey, I've never seen somebody sell so much candy. Do you want to learn how to make some real money? Like, you can make this. So he gave me an ounce. I turned the ounce into a QP, turned the QP into a pound, and just and learn the drug game.
Right.
So the problem with Fresno, though, it's like crabs in a bucket. It's one of the most hard knock areas in California. Mm-hmm. As soon as, because people would find out where I was sleeping, I was constantly getting robbed. I don't have no place to go.
Right.
I mean, it's 100 degrees in the summer and it's 30 degrees in the winter.
I didn't know it gets that cold there.
So yeah,
that's brutal.
I'm either freezing or sweating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing though, when I look back at my life, it taught me how to survive.
Yeah.
If I could survive all that, I know that I can survive anything. Mm-hmm. So that was my mentality. Like, nobody is going to beat me. Nobody is going to stop me at all costs.
Right.
No matter what, I am going to win, and I'm going to figure out a way to do it.
Yep.
Right. So I started making good money, got an apartment. That apartment got robbed. Helicopters showed up. This was like, I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's it. I'm done. And so that's when I moved to Humboldt County.
Okay.
Right at about the age of 18.
That's California, right?
Yeah, it's where all the herb is
That's
grown.
where the herb is. Did you go there for the herb, like to
Absolutely.
grow and to sell and the whole thing?
I moved there to take over. In
Okay.
my head,
Yeah.
my head,
Yeah.
I said, I am moving to take over.
Got it.
I remember pulling into the town, and I said, this place is weak. They don't have spines. They don't know.
It's more of like a hippie vibe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you got some gnarly dude coming from like Fresno.
Yeah.
It's a whole different mentality.
It really is. And the way that I viewed it was these people are marks. Like, I will infiltrate, build an organization, and that's what I did. And so by the time I was 21, I had a driver that was bringing down roughly about $1 million a month, and sometimes it'd be $3 million. It just depended on how many people could actually offload. Like, I could not sell enough. So I had 6 houses I was growing at.
So everything's indoor or out?
Indoor.
Indoor. Everything's
Yep.
all indoor.
Everything's indoor. I couldn't move outdoor. Nobody
Yeah.
wanted it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Indoor,
mean?
and then you're moving like $3 million worth of bud a month.
Yeah, roughly, because back then pounds were 4,500.
Yeah.
So it's a lot less. It's not like now
Yeah.
where, there's clubs and all this kind of stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's been pretty much legalized, $500 a pound.
Yeah.
Well, back then, that was gold. 1 pound, I'd take it to the city,
Yep.
to Frisco. You're getting, sometimes 5,000 a pound, depending on what grade it was,
Yeah.
So people started catching wind really quick. Who's this kid who can move 500,000 in an hour? How's he doing this? I mean, I remember one time we moved $500,000 in 17 minutes. And it wasn't just one person. I mean, I had people coming in from LA, San Diego, Sacramento, and I just rent out this high-end hotel. And I had the hotel paid off in San Francisco.
Okay, yeah. So with the hotel, you had them paid. So you
I
could do the
pay them, and
transactions.
they let me have carte blanche, because I'd walk right in, front guy get 100 in his pocket,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Run game,
Yeah.
do what you got to do." And then I'd also, I'd kick them down.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of
Yeah,
that
okay.
weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
So as this stuff's going, you weren't just doing weed though. You weren't. Now, when you were in Humboldt, you weren't partying at this time, right? Maybe smoke a little bit of bud, but you were more focused on the business.
I was focused on the business, and then I had a dream that it wasn't really a dream. It was trauma from a molestation that had happened, and that's when I started heavily medicating.
Got it.
I had so much money, and I was selling to one of the cartels in Fresno, so they started bringing me up half-pound bricks of blow for my personal use, right? I wasn't selling coke. That was
Yeah.
not my thing. I wanted to do it.
So they just gave it to you just to party with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they knew what they were doing. They were like, well, if we can get him, this is how my head thinks about it now. That's our golden boy. We can't get this high grade without him. We got to get him hooked on our product. Right?
Got it.
So they stuck the hook in me. So, I've got 1,000 hits LSD in my freezer. I've got one of those big 1/4 pound bags filled with Zan bars, tons of Valium, boulder rocks of dimethyltryptamine. I mean, it was just, I had a crooked dentist that was selling me the medical grade nitrous tanks.
Interesting, yeah.
So, I'm waking up and medicating this hole
Right.
of trauma that was in here. And in the midst of it, having my daughter at 19, I never hit her or yelled at her. She never even got a spanking her whole life. Never one.
Yeah.
So I thought I was being a great dad.
Yeah.
And I'm making all this money, so she has whatever she wants.
Right.
I mean, when you give a kid 50, 70, 80 grand a month, I mean, just crazy numbers. I wasn't making $3 million a month. I was selling $3 million a month,
Yeah.
so I get a broker fee,
Right.
right? So I'm medicating heavily, and I could not. I remember one morning I woke up, I dumped 80 hits on my hand, liquid fluff, which was from the Grateful Dead family, right? We talked about this yesterday.
Yep.
Everybody knows what that fluff is, who was ever into doing L. I put 80 hits on me, smoke a chunk of dimethyltryptamine, do a gagger that's probably a foot long, crush a Zan bar, drink the Crown, and then I got two of my boys that are passed out wherever in the house, come and lift me up with the hose, hang me upside down, and just suck down that medical grade gas until I'm
my
like, I'm serious, bro. Like, I mean, I remember, so that's what Zans is about. I'm like, like skidding out. And I mean, I know this stuff because it's like, if we're going to get wild, like, let's get wild. Like, if we're going to do it, like, let's tilt it through the bottom of the floor.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, then we couldn't get high off the blow no more. There's a lot of moisture in Humboldt County in the atmosphere.
Okay.
So it started clogging up the blow. It started softening it.
Right.
And we couldn't snort it. It was clogging up our nose. So I was like, you know what? Let's just take it to the next level. I know bass.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, we can freebase it. So then I started taking, we called them chewy blunts. So I would just $300 blunt, and we're putting a teent.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know
if you have that much blow, you're like,
dude.
Most of it's white. The joint, there's like a little bit of sprinkle of weed on it.
Yeah, that's like the filter.
But then see, this is what's so crazy is just for people that are listening is that the mind, what happens to the mind during this time is you're going from one level to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So your reality, your thought process, you're already, I mean, you have your daughter, you're running a business.
Yeah.
I mean, how is all this, I mean, again, my story, I was maintaining for a long time, but then I lost control.
Right.
How are you maintaining your business at this point? Because in the back of your mind, or maybe you don't know, I don't know. Do you know in the back of your mind, you're like, all right, we're getting wild, but this is like, I got a business to run. So that in the back of your mind, I got that business, but we're getting real nuts. Like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah. I had a lot of people under me. So
That's the other thing.
I had my youngest brother involved. He was running one of my houses. My cousin was involved. He was running one of my houses. And then I also owned a glass manufacturing operation.
Okay.
So I had 10 guys blowing glass for me on top of drivers, people under me selling. I mean, it was like a full-blown organization.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. And everybody around me, none of those guys, my brother never did none of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He wasn't like smoking chewy blunts, getting out of control.
Yeah.
So they're wondering, man, where's Jevon? He's not here at the glass shop again today.
Right. You're kind of disappearing because you're too much.
I'm out there.
Yeah, you're
out there. You know what I mean? And it just got to a point where too much was too much. It was too much excess, and the money never stopped.
That's the problem.
Coming in.
Well, why do you think? Sorry, not to cut you off.
No,
but
bro.
Why do you think that a lot of these rock stars?
Yeah.
I mean, well, just the other day, the drummer from Foo Fighters died. They found 10 substances in his system. If you on the news, it says 10.
I saw that.
I mean, it's when I OD'd, I had 10 days of cocaine, Xanax, and alcohol in my. That's all I could get. I mean, when I would go to Amsterdam, I would eat mushrooms, take LSD, do crack, and snort lines all in one day and drink. So, like, because Amsterdam, you could buy everything.
We're so much alike.
So
That's crazy.
So what I'm saying is, with access to whatever, however, the party here, go here, what do you got? It's your body. You just buckle.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on. You're starting to disappear because it gets control of you, even though you think you got control.
It was controlling me.
Yeah.
It wasn't only controlling me, it was owning me. So this was kind of at the beginning of the end before the shooting took place, which I'll go into in a second.
Yeah.
But one night I was on the same thing. I was on Xans, I was on Valium, I was on probably that night at least 50 hits of fluff. And then I did a big old thumbie of raw MDMA that we were getting from the chemist.
Oh shit!
Right?
Ecstasy.
Oh, bro, it was like you remember those dipsticks?
How do you even like that's so your tolerance level is just like.
Oh, I was an animal.
Yeah.
People were like, how? So people would come over to my house. It was the strongest fluff that you could get. It was brought from the ground. They had a barrel of it buried in 1983. So they bring out the fluff. This is the strongest fluff you can get your hands on. People are freaking out on one drop. And I'm putting 50 to 100 on there, just full maniac. Like, I wanted to see how far I could actually take it.
Well, talking about how far.
Yeah.
We're getting to the break here soon.
Sure.
The next half, we're going to talk about how God brought you out of all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about this, fluff is the LSD, and it's the strongest stuff. What happens when you take 80 hits of that stuff from the dead? I mean, because you're seeing how far you go. We always want to push the limits. Like Steve-O, he's sucking so many nitrous balloons that he ended up seeing demons. He talks about it after he got sober. Because he was trying to see how far he can go, how far he could open the door to the supernatural.
That's what happened to me.
What happened?
So I'm eating a bunch of L, probably at least I'm on 50 at least, and that's when I rolled the MDMA. I'm smoking the dimethyl-tryptamine,
which is the Joe Rogan talks about it. That's
exactly.
What's it called? DMT.
Yeah, it's extracted, so you leave your body when you're on it. Yeah. Well, I'm sitting at the edge of my big old fat house, which was just a ridiculous party mansion, right? And I'm leaning up against the side of it, and I felt my heart like skip a beat, and I look around the corner because I had 5 acres of redwoods. I'm like drug, and I'm like, I'm gonna die. And all of a sudden I saw an army of demons coming out of the redwoods, and my dog, which I had a French Mastiff, which guarded my property, he came running out of the house, circling around me, freaking out, and I'm watching these demons try to infiltrate. So I knew my dog saw it, and I leaned across. My mom is an intercessor, so I remembered how to pray, and I leaned against the side and I said, Father, I'm going to die. Please forgive me. And I knew I was overdosing.
Yeah.
Right? That was like right at the end before we go into the next phase of what we're talking about, how God saved my life. Yeah. Like I almost OD'd that night. I was so blown out, man. It was, and I was only 25, so the body could handle that at that age.
Yeah.
But after I had said that one prayer, that's when I started to realize that God was real, because right when I had prayed, I was instantly sober. Like within,
serious?
I promise, like instantly sober, like I had never taken a drink before in my life.
No way.
Yep, but I was doing the same thing the next day. I mean, I'm dude.
But this is a common story with people, like wherever they're at with their addictions or their partying or whatever, they'll have a bad experience or whatever. If they do too much LSD and they'll have a bad trip, they'll pray to God and I'm not doing it again. But then they're right back at it.
That's what the end of Zans is about, bro.
Yeah,
the relapse.
Yeah,
you clean everything up, take the shower, the water of the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? And boom, you're right back in with not only Jezebel, but then you're right back in and into all the other stuff.
We were talking about right before the show. We were talking about how when people give their life to Christ, Jesus says, once the demon leaves, if you don't clean the house, which is like you don't clean it, you don't have the Holy Spirit indwell in you, and the connection through the Word keeps the Holy Spirit flowing and growing. What happens is if it's just empty, if you just say, God, forgive me my sins or whatever, and you just don't fill it with the Holy Spirit, the demons will come back with 7 more.
Yep.
And people might say, oh, are you going to be demon possessed? No, well, demons, you can be possessed, but you could be oppressed. Yeah. Like think about the oppression. We know about Ephesians 6, right?
Right.
Imagine if one demon is assigned to you and he's influencing your life, right? He's bringing these shiny objects in front of you, pornography, drug. Hey, try some weed. He's orchestrating these little moments for you to, come past these things.
Yeah.
But then imagine you give your life to God, he leaves, and then you don't clean it out. All of a sudden he comes back with 7 more.
Yep.
Think about the influence. And I think a lot of the depression and anxiety and mental health and stuff, there is a lot of influence. I'm not saying people are possessed.
Right.
You know when someone's possessed.
Yes.
But there's that influence of like we were talking about even before the show, is like they went through that season and I was being so influenced by the enemy. And I had this darkness around me, depression, and I'm not even depressed, you know?
Right.
But that's the whole thing. And that's why people have to, people that are listening to this story today that are going through this. And your story's so relevant because it maybe happened like, years ago.
20
years. Okay, happened 20 years ago. But think about this, okay? The way we used to party back then, we were like extreme and radical at that time. It wasn't that gnarly. Nowadays, with the influence of videos and legalizing weed, mushrooms, it's all drugs like this is all mainstream.
Right.
So there's more people doing more of these drugs than ever before, and it's okay now. I mean, according to the mainstream.
Right.
So this isn't like what we're talking about. This is why it's so relevant. Like anyone that goes to raves, I guarantee, has done pretty much everything that you're talking about.
Oh, they're doing it all. Yeah.
And not even that, the rappers too.
Totally.
Drinking the juice and eating the mushrooms and the whole, and
popping them perkies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like the drugs. It all just flows through all the music industries and whatnot. So that's why I definitely wanted to have you on this show. Before the break, we have like 5 minutes.
Yep.
So at that moment, when you prayed to God, you saw these demons come, where they like infiltrated your whole
I saw them coming out of the woods, and
Were
I
they
was
just like black shadows?
no, I saw their faces, I saw their eyes. It looked like the front end of a fireball, and they had these really long tails to them. Not like a tail like you think the devil has. It was a fire tail. So kind of looked like when a star is actually, when you're seeing a star shoot. But it was, I saw the eyes, and I was like, I'd never seen this before.
Yeah.
And I've taken it out there,
Yeah.
right, as far as people can go.
Yeah.
That moment, when I was instantly sober, that is what started to drive me to Yeshua.
So so at that point, what were you thinking? Like, what was the next step? You're sober. I mean, what'd you do right after that?
I actually, I went to sleep because
Yeah.
we were on a bender.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't just me partying by myself.
Yeah.
Everybody's sucking off me.
Exactly.
I'm making so much gosh darn money.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to Dirties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, he's got a 5-acre estate.
Yeah.
Lock gate.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm spinning people out of their minds.
Yeah.
I got enough fluff to get 1,000 people high.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's what spurred the curiosity about God.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's virtually impossible that I would be completely sober. Second off, it's virtually impossible that my dog saw this.
Yes.
It's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
I watched my dog come out of my house and spin around in circles, fighting these things off that were coming at me. It was a real experience. It wasn't, if my dog wouldn't have been involved, I probably would have thought something a little different.
Yeah,
My dog was
You would
sober.
have thought it was like a hallucination. Or
Yes,
something.
my dog was sober. I didn't get my dog high.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
going to waste LSD on my dog.
Exactly.
I know I wouldn't do that to any
I know,
animal
I know.
anyways.
I
You
know,
know what I mean?
I know you got to watch what you say these days.
Yeah.
we love dogs. Okay, we would never give drugs to dogs.
No, I was good to my dog.
So then, okay, so you slept that off. You woke up the next day, and what did you? Oh, you just went back to partying.
Oh, I woke right back up, rolled up a chewy, snorted a line, ate a pill, drank the Crown, had the nitrous. There's all these people still in my house. We're right back into it. No looking back, just going again. And that's when I started to, the deeper I got, and this was kind of towards the end when
Yep.
I was using that much, I started to work. I was cleaning out mountainsides. There was no weed left.
Yeah.
So I had to start to reach out to people that knew people that knew people. And that's when things started to, that's when the beginning of the end started to unravel.
Perfect. Okay, we're gonna go into the beginning of the end right after the break. I want to plug. Well, let's get some people to find your stuff. So where do they find your YouTube?
Noble Poets.
Noble Poets.
Instagram's Noble Poets Music, and then Noble Poets on Facebook.
All right, and you got all your music up there, and then you go to Apple for music as well.
Yeah, there's a pre-save link that's coming out for our EP that's dropping in April. So a lot of people have been coming and pre-saving that link. And what's been really cool is I did this to help people. That's my heart.
Yep.
My heart is not to
Yeah.
get something from somebody.
Yep.
Like I want people's lives to be transformed so they don't have to go like through what I went through. Like it's painful. I don't want that for anybody. And that's really the sincere place of my heart. And I think that's why Head's gotten behind me because he knows like I want people to win. I want their relationship with Yeshua to be sincere and whole and pure. And God is the only one that is going to come in and clean out these closets, bro. It ain't getting fixed on our own,
Well, your lyrics, they're deep and they're straight, like to the point, and people need to hear. Again, I was watching your video, Zans, this morning, and I was just like, I had all these like mixed feelings of like, the life, and then I started crying, and it's there, and those people that are in that place, it's gonna hit them hard, and it's gonna hit them very, very direct, and I love it. The fact that Head is behind you and pushing you, and he always introduced me to rappers. I'm like, how's this metal guy introducing me to rappers? He introduced me to this other rapper with a rap years ago, one of our good friends, but it's so funny. And I'm like, Head, but you're like a metal guy. Why do you?
Yeah.
But he's listening to all this hip hop underground. All right, we're going to be going to the break right now. You guys go to thewhosoevers.com. We have products. Actually, the most important thing is book us for tours. We want to come tour. Right now we have Mexico just opened up. We have some Northern California stuff going on. And we have some other invites. I think Africa too. I'm scared of Africa. Dude. I'm not trying to get some jabs in me to go out of states, our country. So, but Africa will be gnarly. The Whosoevers movement is going to Africa, but invite us. We'll come to South America, wherever. Go to thewhosoevers.com. contact us, and we want to come to you guys. We'll be back in 2 minutes after the break.
Cool.
More of The Ryan Ries Show coming up. Post your questions at Ryan Ries on his Instagram, Twitter, and or Facebook.
We're going to Montana to Great Falls.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
We're going to pick up Sonny.
Move my stuff.
He's the co-founder of the Whosoever's movement, so this is going to be sick because I haven't been on a Whosoever's tour with them forever.
We can't get into schools. Let's just go to what we know, skate parks and whoever will have us.
This is a tour in the middle of the pandemic, so these are the obstacles that you're going to run into. This is our only last day to get the word out for kids. Because tomorrow, if they don't know it's tomorrow, then they ain't going to be able to make it. We're going to get the flyers out to them today, and that goes down tomorrow.
The whole community of Great Falls, Montana is going to come out. Everywhere we go, people have heard about it. It's been all over the news, and they all said we're rolling out.
With the way y'all talk to us today, it seems like y'all really understand what we go through, you know?
Now, back to The Ryan Ries
All right,
Show.
well, we are back with Jevon Barnes from Noble Poets. Check him out on YouTube to get the videos. Again, at the beginning of the show, I said I watched one of the videos, and it shook me up inside. And not much shakes me up, actually, but because I've been through too much.
Yeah.
And then I started crying. It's gonna hit you hard. His lyrics are real, they're raw, and relatable to people that are living at this time in the world. So go check that out. Right before the break, dude, we were just talking about how, well, I think you did about 50 hits of MDMA, and then you did a bunch of LSD, like 100 hits or something like that, and you were out of your mind on a Benger, and you started to OD.
Yeah.
And you saw demons coming at you, and you were tripped out, and then your dog started going in circles to protect you.
Yeah.
So therefore, it was not a hallucination. You had your dog there,
Yeah.
and then you prayed to God, and all of a sudden, you went sober because you had your mom fasting for you for years.
Yep.
So you have your mom, which is the engine in prayer, praying to God to save her son. And now here you are reaching out to God, and all those prayers, God just reaches out to you, sobers you up, and you realize there is a God and he's real. And then the next day you went right back at it. So how in the heck did you even get saved?
You know, you talk about my mother, and I start weeping just because she's such a strong intercessor, and I'm so thankful for her. But I was right back at it the next day. But it did, that night, it did produce something in me. So not only did I see the demons, but it's like, okay, demons are real, so what else is real?
Right, yeah.
God's real,
Yeah.
right? But I'm back at it the next day. And like I said at the end of the before the break, I started working with people who knew people who knew people, right?
Right.
Well, there was a gentleman that I didn't know at the time was banging dope, and I found this out later. But he owed one of the cartels like $65,000 from his heroin addiction. Well, I was connected with him from somebody else that I knew, and all the mountains are dry. It's like September. I've cleaned everybody out, and I've got a feeding frenzy on my hands. I need 100K here. I need 200 here. I mean, the orders just kept coming in. I get a phone call from this guy. Said, "Hey, I'm hooking you up with this person, and he can get you 100 pounds of purple." And I was like, everybody wanted that purple Urple at the time. Everybody was all about that purple Kush. So I was like, okay, worked out the price point, called my boy in Fresno. I'm like, we got you covered. So not only was I taking care of him, but I was going to be taking care of other people as well, because my friend didn't need 100. But he was like, I got, $148,000, I think is what, or 138. I can't remember the exact number, but he had a truckload of money, right, at the time. And he goes, I got to rent a car right now. I'm going to meet you in Southern Humboldt under the bridge in Honeydew. And I was like, okay. So my friend drives me down, drops me off in Honeydew. The gentleman who's supposed to bring the load meets us and picks up the cell phone and says, hey, we got to drive inland 5 miles. It's not coming here. And I'm like, me and my boy are here. Money's here. Drop's supposed to be here. Like, You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly.
what's
What's
up?
up?
Like,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, we got to just go inland 5 miles. They're waiting for it there. And the gentleman goes, I can't say his name, but
Yeah.
the gentleman goes, I need to see money. And that's when I started to get a little irate. I was
Right.
like, bro, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I'm the golden boy of this county.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows I come correct. And I told my friend, I said, show him the money. Open the trunk. It's all hundreds, counted out perfect, because that's how we rolled.
Yeah.
Like, we did not play games when it
Yeah.
came to the drug part.
Yeah.
Opens it up. My friend gets in the back. My friend's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. The guy who's supposed to take us to go get the load shoots my friend twice in the back of the head in the car. My friend's laid out. Gun is jamming, and he's trying to shoot me in the head. Right.
Right.
I'm flipping. Immediate trauma, immediate PTSD. Shaking, trying to get the gosh darn car door open, bro. And it was locked, and I was shaking so bad that I couldn't unlock it. I'm looking behind me, and he's trying to unjam the gun. He's trying to reload it with another bullet, unjam it. I got the car unlocked, and I start running for my life.
You never have.
And this is in the middle of nowhere. So if anybody's seen the Netflix episode Murder Mountain, it's like 10, 15 minutes away from Murder Mountain. This is in the middle of nowhere. This is not like some place that everybody frequently goes to.
Right.
Right? You're going there for one reason, to pick up loads. That's
Right.
what we did. So I'm running, and I'm thinking the shooter is actually chasing me. That's what I'm thinking in my
Yeah,
head.
yeah, of course.
I get up right up under the 101 South, and there was this like hole in the ground, and I'm sitting in it, and I'm shaking. I mean, I'm just losing it, looking around to see if what was happening at our rent-a-car, right? Well, that's when the voice of the Lord spoke to me. I heard Yahweh loud as day. And he said, Jevon, I have a plan, and I have a purpose, and I have a call, and I have a destiny on your life. When are you going to stop working for him and start working for me? And I said, I'm out. You get me out of this, I'm done. I'm out the game. That's it. Mm-hmm. I kid you not. And this is in the middle of nowhere, no cars coming around. I creep up right to the edge of the 101. I'm on my knees praying to God. Because I'm thinking this guy's going to come cap me. He just shot my friend twice in the head, right? A Suburban pulls up, opens the door, and goes, I'm a rabbi. Where do you need to go? And I go, a rabbi from the Bible? It's the same thing that happened to me when I immediately got sober. I'm like, this is impossible. Yeah. And that level of impossibility is what brought me into the place of, I don't care what anybody says on this planet. Yeah. Nobody is going to be able to tell me that God is not real. Yep. Nobody. He spared my life and saved my life. Well, that was just the beginning, because he's taking me up north. I live 45 minutes north.
So the rabbi picks you up.
Yeah.
Just a guy, this is crazy, off the side of the road. I mean, it's like sketchy business.
Yes.
And you're looking sketchy for sure at this point. I guarantee it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Picks you up, takes you, and where did he take you?
He took me all the way, he was driving me all the way back up to my property. Yeah. He's like, I'll take you wherever you need to go.
Wow.
And I'm in the back going, what is going on? Well, as we're driving, I'm like looking up. There's helicopters. There's hundreds of cops rolling up and down the 101. And I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah. Oh, man, this is all bad. And I knew it's because my friend had just been shot and I'd almost been murdered. Well, we get to the Eureka, at the edge of Eureka. It's blocked off. And they're checking every car. I mean, it's a line of cops, not just one or two. Yeah. It is lines on both sides. They're trying to find this murderer, right? Rabbi goes, hey, you have to make a statement. I cannot, out of good conscience, you have to tell them what's going on. Well, I knew no weed showed up. All the money's gone. Right. In my head, that street game. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, we were under the bridge. Guy came and shot my friend in the head and stole our car. Yep. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. I just didn't give them the details of why it happened. Right, of course. And the cops, what are they going to charge me with? Yeah. They took the statement, they let me go. So I get up to my property. It's on the news that night. Front page of the paper. Next morning. Within, I believe it was around a week to 2 weeks. I'm trying to break everything down. And I got a massive organization.
So you're just trying to like get rid of the whole thing?
I'm trying to shut everything down. it's just not, it wasn't enough time. I didn't want to lose the money. Even though I just told God I'm out, I'm done. Right. I was like, well, I'm going to break all this down and sell it all.
Right.
And walk away with a bunch of money. Right. So my rooms were in the my houses I was growing out were in the process of being shut down. All my drivers, I mean, it was all happening really fast at one time.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of girls trimming in my living room, trying to get this broken down as fast as possible. Vegas, I see 2 guys. My friend goes, Jevon, there's people at the gate, and they got jackets and badges. Mm-hmm. And I was like, clean it up, get it all put away. Well, these guys walk up, and I go to meet them halfway down.
Yeah.
And they go, Jevon Barnes? I go, yeah. And they go, we're Vegas FBI.
Yeah.
We're here investigating a murder. And I go, you mean the one where I just almost got murdered and my friend just got shot in the head twice? And they were like, no. The gentleman, and they said his name, the gentleman that shot your friend in the head and tried to kill you has been just murdered. And we found him in a dumpster. We are now investigating you for a murder. We believe that you were the one that put the hit out on this guy who's dead because we know that this was a drug deal gone bad. And that's when a tear rolled down my eye.
A tear rolled when you were talking to these
one,
guys.
One tear, and I go, hey, I had nothing to do with any of that. And then I said, do you guys have a warrant? No, sir, we do not. And I said, then get the off my property.
Yeah.
Immediately called my attorney. And I was like, this is getting real bad real fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Within 30 days, this was my daughter's kindergarten picture day. Mm. Right? Keep in mind, my daughter's going through all this with me.
Yeah, exactly.
This is kindergarten picture day. 38. I think it was 38. Cop, sheriff, deputies, whole 9 yards, raid my house. They popped me for 105 pounds, 5 pounds of hash manufacturing operation, plants, stolen gun, because after the shooting, one of the guys from the cartel said, we got to get you a jack. Like we're bringing up.
Oh gosh, so they dropped it off. Yeah.
So they dropped it off. No serial numbers, unregistered, right? And I didn't like guns. I didn't need to. Why are you going to kill the Golden Boys, making you all the money?
Exactly.
And that's how my thought. That's how my thought process was. So we were then. CPS takes my daughter. Right. I'm being charged. My youngest brother, who was running one of my houses, he actually went and picked up my daughter. My mom came up from Fresno to kind of help this thing.
Yeah, suss it out.
This explosion that just took place.
Yeah.
I mean, I just dropped a nuke in the middle of everybody's life.
Yep.
There must have been probably 25 to 40 people I was working with. All of their lives were immediately affected.
Yep,
Right, in an adverse way.
Yeah.
So I'm going through. I only was in jail for 4 hours. And I start the court process. And the first time that we had talked to the DA, first the cops tried to get me to rat. And I was like, you can just quit that right now.
Right.
I did this. I'll chew it my own. Like I'm not a punk. Yeah. That's one thing in my head. I was like, you know what? I'll do my own bit. I'm not a rat. I would not. They tried to get me. Who you know? I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like I'll eat. I'm not a snitch.
Yeah.
And so, really, what happened is I go to my first court date, and they were like, hey, 8 years. That's what we want to put you in the joint for. And my mom was there. And we went down in the hallway, and she just starts interceding in the middle of the courthouse. Dude, going to war, bro. I mean, like a savage.
Yeah.
My attorney a week later gets a hold of me and says, Jevon, here's what happened. The Vegas feds were on your property without a warrant. They then tipped off the Humboldt County Sheriff Department. That Humboldt County Sheriff Department got a warrant on falsified grounds. You walk.
That's insane. Imagine thinking just this whole operation, how much they had, but they didn't follow the protocol.
They didn't.
And God used that.
Totally, he did. Here's where it gets real fun, because I don't get to talk about this on the normal podcast I actually get to be real with you, which is dope.
Yeah, totally.
My mom dropped me off at the ministry school doorsteps.
Oh, really?
Dropped me off at ministry school, and I just plowed my face in the word. What I wanted to do, I just wanted to help kids.
Yeah.
So I was going to school to be a youth pastor, because I knew that if I could speak to them before the major decisions that they made in their life, then maybe I could help them avoid what I went through. Yeah. And like I said a little bit ago, I already knew God was real. So the sheriff told me, you know that gun that he used is over a 1 in 900 something thousand chance of jamming. That's what the sheriff told me. Yeah, that's what he told me. It was a 380. And he's like, those don't jam. He's like, they do not jam. And so it was thing after thing after thing to make me realize that God was real.
Yeah.
And it went back to the promise that I made him. I'm going to serve you. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to serve others. That's what my life's supposed to be. Well, in the midst of me going to school, he breaks me down, and I heard the voice of the Lord tell me, like, I made you to be a lyricist. I didn't write lyrics.
But you weren't doing that before? Really? So this is
I was blowing glass.
This is
I was
all
glass
new.
blower. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yep. So I started writing lyrics in 2004, and then I met Head, I think, in 2012 or 2013. And I met Caleb in 2017, and then Zach, and then Trevor. All these things just started happening.
Wow.
And I graduated from ministry school.
Yeah.
I had my
Where was that?
pastoral-
Up north?
Up north in
Fresno?
Redding. In Redding.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So graduated from there. I've just been in the Word consistent, man, for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
That's been the drill for me. I don't ever want to waver from that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on inside of the Christian culture that can distract you from the Word.
Oh, yeah.
I want the Word.
Yeah.
We don't live by bread alone, but every word that comes out of the mouth of the living God. So I knew that if I stayed steadfast in that, and knowing that I already survived beatings, homelessness, house raidings, almost ODing, I knew that if I could make it through all that, that anything else that was coming my way, I just can't be stopped. He's in me. So,
Well, I think that I know that, in these times that we're living with all the craziness and how progressive everything is getting, even with the church is being watered down, and it's just it's just shiny objects.
Yeah.
And, we've talked about this with all of our friends.
Yep.
That there's going to be a group of people that are going to be the trailblazers in this time. These are the last days. We're seeing everything that's going on with Russia, and just read the Bible. If you're man and woman of the Word of God, you're not surprised. I think the only surprise is you're like, shoot, it's going down. Like what we've been studying and reading, it's actually happening. So that's the only surprising thing. It's not like, I can't believe this is happening. It's just like, wow, it's just happening right now. This is exciting. So we're looking for Turkey now. What's going to happen with Turkey? But I feel like God is raising up a bunch of people that that He's going to use as trailblazers that were either atheists or in your line of work, drug dealers. Coming from the skate industry, your music industry, these different tastemakers in culture that have already seen it all and had it all, where they're not distracted by it, but they're men and women of the Word of God, and God's going to use them to reach people during these last days.
It's the remnant.
Yeah, during these last days.
Yeah. I believe we're in the middle of the great apostasy right now. That's what I believe. When I read it, it lines up exactly with what's happening in Christianity. We're seeing what I'm through my grid, watching, like you said, shiny objects. The circus is upon us. There's a lot of distractions, a lot of things to pick up on, and also the need to be entertained. The itching of ears.
The itching of ears.
I don't want my ears itched. No. I want my heart pierced.
Yeah.
Keep cutting me. Yeah. I want you to cut me deep, and I think that's why God's releasing my story right now in this hour. I think it's why He's using you at such a deep level, because He's using you to go get the one, the 99 are already in the pen, and He's using you to go get the one that nobody else can reach. That's why what you're doing is so powerful. In
Revelation, or it's one of the prophecies I think in Isaiah, talks about that talking about his death, and it was saying how he was counted amongst the rebels, and he bore the sins of the sinners, and he was with those. He was reaching those outcasts and those rebels.
Yeah.
Like that was his deal.
Yeah.
And we know the story when he was just like, I didn't come to seek and save those. I didn't come for healthy people. I came for the sick.
Exactly.
And in church culture, we can get so comfortable in that comfortable state, but really the whole mission is to go out and reach people where they're at, because the world, it's hurting.
Yeah.
It's hurting.
Yeah.
People are lost. They're self-medicating.
Yep.
Just to get through life because of people. You could be molested.
Yep.
Broken home. just struggling with depression or whatever it be.
Yep.
People are hurting. And if we could just really open our eyes and go, man, it's not about us. We got to get our heads out and be like, it's not about us. It's about loving God and loving people and trying to reach out and help people find their way, basically.
Yeah, and there's a testimony in all of it. I get my daughter back, full custody. By the time she's 11, she's now getting her doctorate. I own a record label and a mortgage branch.
What's a record label called?
Lion Rock Records.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Caleb signed to that. I'm signed to it, and then Noble Poets. It's not some crazy juggernaut record label.
Yeah.
It's something that I started. Head got me his attorney and helped us build it. And then, Zach Yoshioka is managing us, and Trevor Tyson with Transparent Media is handling all that. And we all kind of work together, which is really fun. We got some common relationships. I wouldn't have any of this if I didn't make the choice. He gave me an opportunity to make a choice. I got my get out of jail free card. Yep. That's what you want to call it.
Yep.
Everybody I know that's got one, everybody 100% has went back to the game. I had somebody in ministry school come and tell me, I need you to move $500,000 right now. Found out about my testimony in town.
You're a liar.
Owner of the gym. I was going to school with his son, and he goes, "Hey, I heard about your testimony from my son. I'm a grower. I've got $500,000. You can make X. Can you move this for me?" I'm not kidding. In the middle of ministry school, after knowing about the shooting, and I was like,
hey,
temptation comes knocking right through the back of the door,
That's what the enemy does. He knows how to get
Sicko.
you. And if you love money, he's going to throw it all in front of you. And people love money. Money's a thing that makes the world go around.
Yep.
Dude, that is so crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, are you touring? Or are you going to do any tours, or what's the plans?
We released The Flaw, so we're going to do.
You have an album or a song coming out?
Yeah, it's an EP that's dropping April 8th. So we have The Flaw, then The Beautiful Flaw. All those 3 projects are dropping.
Okay.
And we're running one after the next.
Okay, cool.
So we had Never Fit In, which is the first video. Then we had Humpty Dumpty. Then we've got Zans. The next song that we're doing is Cell of Fear. And what it's doing is the music is following the story that you and I just went through.
Yeah.
But we're giving people video content with it.
That's
so
amazing.
So there's something for them to, grab onto and say, hey, I'm not alone in this story, which is what's happening online all the time. So there's a lot of power that's attached to that. So the Flaw is April 8th. Zans just dropped Friday. And we're playing the Blue Ridge Mountain Festival on September 8th. So that's going from 8, 9, 10, and 11. So there's probably a couple hundred bands that are going to be playing there. Yeah.
Well, that's rad, man. I want to thank you for coming out, and we'll work on something when you're not touring here or at a stop. At Calvary Chapel Diamond Bar, we can pack the place, turn it into a venue. Sound system's good. We've had a lot of concerts here.
Yeah,
it's been cool actually just to even have another, because COVID kind of shut everything down for a while. And it wasn't the fact that we weren't doing anything, because the Who Service has been active the whole time.
Yeah.
It was like people in LA were like scared of their shadow.
I know. I know.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like a lot of people watch CNN here. So it was people were people. I don't trust any of the news channels for the record,
Yep.
I don't trust the government stuff, but I trust Jesus, and as we read the Bible, it gives us our directions. This is why we got to be men and women of the Word of God, because He'll show us what path to take. He'll deliver us. He'll set us free. He'll give us new ideas, new thoughts, new hearts. And I mean, look at you didn't even write music. Now here you are writing these amazing lyrics.
Yeah.
Running a label.
Yeah.
Just about to go on a tour, dropping songs. I mean, God just does. It's funny because when people give their life to Christ, they think, "Oh man, my life's gonna stink. It's gonna be so boring." Dude, you just start living.
So exciting.
We only got a couple of minutes left,
Sure.
but you know what? People that are listening, what would be your last words to them?
My last words would be that hope is not lost, and then we can make one choice. And I hope and pray that there's people that come on the show that don't know God because they need to hear this story. Those are the ones that I'm after. And I hope for the people who are saved to hear it, that are following Yahweh, that are in relationship with Jesus, that it encourages them. because there's a lot of people who are following God who have been having a really hard time mentally, struggling with depression, oppression.
True.
There is hope deferred makes the heart sick, but desire fulfilled becomes a tree of life, which means God put those desires in us that only He can fulfill. Well, that tree of life is the cross. We have to learn in this hour to die to ourselves so we can be a greater servant to others. That's what, if we can get that perspective as a collective, as the body, if we can come together in unity and all lay our lives down for humanity, we'll see the whole earth get undone, and that's when Yeshua will come back.
And that's what God uses us in our weakest, in our weakness. You know,
Yes,
you're
bro.
able to, you know, hey man, you know, I used to steal eating disorders, or I used to this, and then they're like, really? How'd you quit? And that opens the door to share your testimony,
Right.
and lead people to the Lord. We could talk for hours and
Yeah,
hours,
bro.
and hours.
Yeah.
And we will talk after this.
Yep.
But dude, thanks a lot, man, for being on.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do some stuff together.
You're such a blessing,
we'll
bro.
do. I want to do a concert. We got a big hip hop audience in this group here.
I want to come serve you. I used to run the outreach at the skate parks in Reading.
Oh, okay.
I want to come be a grommet and serve Underwood. You know, just
Is there skate parks there?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, bro.
All right. Well, look, we got
Yeah.
40 seconds. I'm gonna ask you after the show.
Yeah,
All
okay.
right. All right. You guys go to the whosoevers.com. Go to the channel, the YouTube channel, the whosoevers.com. Get plugged into all the past radio shows. I think we've been on the radio for like 5 years now. You can find studies through the Gospel of John. Go to the whosoevers.com and connect if you want to donate to fund the movement. We tour schools, skate parks. I'm gonna be with Head actually speaking at a bar on Easter. Just when I thought I heard it all,
Sick.
they're like, "Hey, they want you to come speak at a bar on Easter." So I told my wife, I said, "No, I can't miss this opportunity."
Wow.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to give the gospel in a bar on Easter. So anyway, we love you guys,
Sick.
and thanks for being on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
This has been The Ryan Ries Show. To connect and find out more about Ryan, click on ryan-reese.com. Check us out next Saturday at 9 p.m. for The Ryan Ries Show.